Good morning or good evening, whatever time you're watching this. I woke up feeling tired and off today, and then I realized, oh, I will be having my period soon. So I am actually in the late part of my luteal phase, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to take you along and show you what I do on days where I just don't feel the most energetic, the most optimistic, the most bubbly version of myself. So in this video, we will cover things that are very rational and more like sciencey based, all the way through the most intuitive things that you can do. And at the end, I will share something that is probably the most special or extraordinary thing that I do during my luteal phase, but it's the most helpful thing ever. I linked the chapters for you down below, so if there are certain aspects that you are especially interested in, you can simply jump ahead. And yeah, let's start with the very first step. So one of the very first things I do, which is the foundation for everything else, is to acknowledge where I'm at. When I feel like I'm starting to feel off, I feel like I'm not really myself, I take my phone and I check my Cycle app. And then I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so I just consciously tell myself I am in my luteal phase. And maybe that even means to go on Google and re-watch what is actually happening during that phase. So really educate myself on what is going on in my body, because it's not just in our head. We're not just more sensitive without a reason, but there is actually a lot of stuff going on a biological level that explains why we are feeling a certain way, or why we are having different thoughts all of a sudden, why we don't function as well, or why we cannot be as productive as usual. And just feeding my brain this rational information is very helpful to accept it. So once my brain understands the reason why I feel different on those days, I actually then go ahead and plan my days accordingly. Now I know this really depends on your lifestyle, whether you're a student or working from home, or you're a full-time parent, or you have an office where you actually have a lot of meetings and you have to go to a physical workplace. But I really try to already plan ahead. So if you do have a more or less regular period, it can be really useful to look in your calendar and already see the days that will be your late luteal phase, or where you know that you won't be as energetic, and really make a conscious effort to not have as many meetings on those days, or maybe, to try and do home office on these days, or save up some tasks that don't require as much energy or presence to be completed. Admin tasks or organizational tasks, and just things that maybe you can even just wear your pajamas and work them while you are sitting on the couch. So for me, for example, that means that I don't take on any clients during this phase. That might seem strict, but before I used to work week by week, Monday to Friday, but then I realized I simply don't work like that. And I think most women don't, especially if you have, like me, for example, I have endometriosis, so my cycles can be very heavy, and I just admitted to myself that I just don't function on this systematic, regular basis. So really get to know yourself, get to know your cycle, your needs, and that can take some time. So of course, you don't have to have everything figured out for next month, but just be a bit more self-aware and observe what is going on, maybe take some notes. There are so many cycle tracking apps out there, and they often allow us to, check little emoji boxes and be like, oh, okay, so on that day I felt anxious or tired or just stressed. And then you start to notice some patterns, and then you can actually take those patterns and organize your life around it during that phase, of course. That was a big game changer for me, because it allowed me to really listen to my body, listen to my needs, and not, force myself to work in a certain state that I'm simply just, from a biological point of view, not able to reach during that phase of the month. And that is okay. I think such a big part of coming to, make peace with that is to really just accept the fact that it's okay, and maybe also talk about it with your friends. For me, that was also extremely helpful, tell my friends how I feel during my cycle, and then hear their version, how do they feel, and just realize that you're not alone. I think that is always a huge a huge point of anything that we're going through as human beings. Once we realize that we are not alone, like it's not a personal failure, but it's something that is very common and that other people experience as well, can be very helpful to really just be like, okay, it is what it is, I accept it, and then I try my best to work with it anyways. Okay, so now we've acknowledged what is going on, our brain rationally understands what is going on, we know that it is not a personal failure, and we already know what we need during that phase. Now we can start with the more practical tips. Say you decided that you're working from home that day. It's not just about being home, but then you can take extra steps and make this actually a bit magical. And what I mean by that is that you can make it really cozy and do things that you would not be able to do on a regular day, and actually start romanticizing this phase of the month. So those are the days where you get to wear extra cozy clothes. I never wear a bra when I'm on my period. I'm wearing clothes that make me feel still put together, but still super cozy and soft and flowy materials. You can work from, sit on the couch or just do everything that makes you feel extra comfortable. I like to have big blankets, some tea, a candle, really just romanticize the fact that you actually get to sit on your couch and work from home, which is amazing. Of course, if that's not the case for you, because you have an office job where you actually have to be there, try to do your best and still make those days as slow and cozy as possible. Sometimes that just means lowering our expectations. I know that everything that I'm sharing in this video, it really heavily depends on your work environment, but I think you get the idea. So instead of pushing myself on those days and having specific expectations on my output, I just consciously tell myself, okay, I just have to get through the day. I just have to do the bare minimum, and I don't have to be the most productive person today. I don't have to save the world today. Just make it through and just check off the most basic tasks. And that, of course, you can adapt to your energy levels. So if you are extremely low energy, then we are really just talking about answering the most important emails that need to be answered that day, and really just do the bare minimum that you have to do. And if you're like mid-range energy level, then you can start with the most important things first, and then just see whatever energy you have left, and if you still feel like doing a bit more. But really being patient with yourself. And I feel like, at least for me, that is a monthly learning curve. So every month I am facing the same old patterns that we have all internalized, which are, okay, so if we are working 9 to 5, we have to be productive in a constant, systematic way. And if we are not, we might feel like we are letting people down, or we are lazy, or whatever silly thoughts come to mind. And just observe what your brain starts to say, like the stories that we tell ourselves, and really try to rationalize those. Like, just be like, oh, interesting, I think I just tied my self-worth to the output of work that I do on a certain day, and that doesn't really make sense. And then really just maybe even talk to yourself and be like, oh, silly brain, I know you just mean well, but we don't need that today. So let's just have a cup of tea and maybe read a book and take a short break. And that brings me to my next point, which is take more breaks. We are simply not meant to work from 9 to 5 and Monday to Friday, but we are going through cycles. And especially when we are in a luteal phase, we feel those cycles. And that is a beautiful opportunity to consciously take more breaks. And that can be in an intuitive way or even with an alarm. So what I did once, there was one month where I was just like feeling so low and sad, and I just wanted to sit on my couch and literally watch Netflix all day, but I did have to get some work done. And so what I did was I would set a timer for 20 minutes and then really work and dive in. And my reward would be that at the end of those 20 minutes, I got to watch 10 minutes of my favorite series that I was watching at that time. And that may sound counterproductive, because usually, At least I work like that too, and many people talk about the importance of staying with one task and not task switching, not jumping from one thing to the next. But I think when you are low on energy, that can be a really good motivational boost to be productive and focused during those 20 minutes, and then also enjoy the break because you deserve it. That's just a little hack if you are still in this I need to deserve my breaks phase. Of course, if you've already moved on and you're past all of that, then you can just be even more intuitive and just listen to your needs and take breaks whenever you feel like you need them. Now let's talk about food and supplements, because this made a huge difference for me. Again, it took a while for me to acknowledge this, and it wasn't until I actually read about how biologically our body needs more calories during that phase that I really just allowed myself to eat more intuitively, instead of being like, oh, I usually don't eat at this time, or I literally just have breakfast, how can I be hungry again? I just listen to my body. So if I do have cravings, I give in, and that just feels so good, and that really helps me. I feel like it supports my body, my mood, my energy levels. And again, this is a process, and it takes some training and just patience to get used to your own intuitive rhythms, but it can be really life-changing if you are able to listen to your body's signals. Also, sometimes we tend to stick to our routines very strictly, and it is a good thing to mix it up and adapt to your needs during that phase. So for example, even though I react very strongly to coffee, I just love the ritual of making coffee. I love the smell of coffee. And so I usually have a caffeine-free latte or cappuccino, whatever, in the morning because it just makes me happy. And it also somehow I still connected to sitting down and starting work. And during my luteal phase, I drink matcha more consciously, and I consciously leave coffee out entirely because I feel like my stomach is a bit more sensitive. And the beautiful thing about green tea, and especially matcha, is that it boosts our energy levels, so it makes us feel more awake, more concentrated, but at the same time it has a calming effect thanks to the L-theanine that is inside green tea. So it's actually a beautiful combination of uplifting and soothing, and I think it would be better to have this every day, but especially during our luteal phase, it's a very beautiful boost to swap our coffee for a matcha or a green tea instead. Now, when I talk about giving into my cravings, I still mean this in a balanced way. So I still try not to eat too much junk food or whatever, but not deny myself this completely either. So it's really about finding this subtle balance. And what really helped me was to have my go-to recipes or my go-to dishes or snacks that I can rely on when I am in this phase. So for example, my favorite thing to make every month are my black bean or kidney bean brownies, because they just, they satisfy my sweet tooth, but at the same time, they give me very important minerals and iron and calories and everything that I need, that my body needs to support what is going on down there. I shared my recipe with you down below. It's not perfect. Honestly, I do freestyle sometimes. I would just mix the ingredients. I don't care about the perfect look or the perfect consistency or whatever, but I just like to have something that looks like a brownie, tastes like chocolate, and still gives me this iron, protein, everything that my body needs. And then secondly, supplements. So I started supplementing magnesium in the second half of my cycle, because I know that our body needs more magnesium, and especially if you have endometriosis or adenomyosis, I don't know if that's what you call it in English. I have that too. It's basically where I like the vocabulary to talk about this. So the next thing that I consciously do that makes a huge difference is prioritizing my sleep even more. I have to say I do prioritize my sleep all year long, every day of the month, but especially in this phase, I just noticed that I need more sleep. So whenever it is possible, even during the week, I sleep in. For me, that means waking up at 6:40 or 6:50 instead of earlier. But yeah, you get the idea. Just being aware that I need more sleep, so either that means that I go to bed a bit more earlier, or that I just cancel my alarm and sleep in, or take naps during the day. I noticed that that makes a huge difference for me if I simply allow myself during the day to take a 10, 20, 30-minute nap and really lay down in a bed, if it's possible, and just, close my eyes and lay there. It doesn't mean that I always actually fall asleep, but just the fact that I can lay down and be in a dark room and close my eyes without having some sort of distractions. I think it's just what my body needs, and then that gives me enough energy, just fills up my cup again to go through the rest of my day. So now we've covered food, we've covered sleep, and now of course we have to cover movement. I once read a quote that says, if you're ever feeling like low energy or you're feeling sad, just go back to those 3 basic needs and make sure that they are covered, and you will feel instantly better. And I think that there is so much truth to that. I don't know about you, but when I'm in this, I'm almost getting my period phase, or especially when I'm on my period, I just don't feel like being super physically active, but I still try to get some movement in. And sometimes that literally just means going for a short walk, doing some stretching without even, sometimes it's the little things that stand in our way. Like I used to practice yoga or Pilates with YouTube videos, and sometimes when I'm very low energy, I can't even get myself to open up my laptop and pick out a video and roll out my mat and then start doing the exercises. So I try to lower the barrier of actually getting started even more by taking away all those expectations. Exercise can also mean just putting on your favorite song and dancing in the kitchen or in the bathroom, or stretching intuitively in a way that feels good instead of following along to a routine or whatever. So really just try and just get that movement in without making a big deal out of it. I don't know if you are, for example, tracking your steps or things like that. Personally, I don't count my steps, but if you do, then again, this is a beautiful reminder that we don't have to deliver the same output every day of the month. We can adapt. Maybe some days you will have more steps, and then on other days it's totally okay if you don't reach your 10,000 or 8,000 steps. I am actually very often very grateful to be a woman and to have these monthly reminders that life is just an up and down, and it is just a constant beautiful rhythm of waves and spiraling and motions and ebb and flow and back and forth, and it doesn't have to be the same every day. I feel like this is such a masculine energy to really try and achieve a certain result, a certain outcome every single day. It can be the most beautiful reminder when our body is showing us, hey, that's not how it works, so don't resist it, go with the flow. Like I said in the beginning, romanticizing this phase by literally being cozy and stuff like that, but also just being in tune with nature. And I look at the moon and I'm like, how magic and beautiful is it that we get to live through the same phases of being fully present and then disappearing completely, but knowing that we will come back and then be fully present again. And just this constant movement, it's just such a beautiful thing to be part of, you know what I mean? And now last but not least, what I mentioned at the very beginning, the most maybe extraordinary thing that I do, it's maybe an advice or a tip that you have maybe never heard of before. It's that I give myself Reiki during my luteal phase especially. I am a Reiki teacher, so if Reiki is new to you, Reiki is a Japanese energy healing method. So Reiki literally means life force energy, and it's a tool that we can learn and use where we can channel life force energy through our system by laying our hands on our bodies. So that is something that I love to do most days anyways, but especially in my luteal phase, it is just such a beautiful magic ritual to connect with myself, to connect with my body, to connect with everything around me, and just really find back into this flowy state. It really helps me on so many different levels. So I mentioned very often how I'm being intuitive about, the breaks that I need, or the food that I need, or just basically everything that I need during that phase. And Reiki has really helped me so much to tune into that intuition and to actually feel and sense all those subtle signals that my body shows me each and every day. And yeah, so that is truly one of my favorite ways to make it through this phase, to really feel connected to myself. And it just feels like I'm giving myself a big warm embrace and just showing myself some love and just getting into this state of flow and surrender and this deep trust and knowing that it's okay. I am exactly where I need to be. I don't need to push through anything. I am safe even though I am not being super productive or in my masculine energy, and just soothing my whole nervous system and also preparing my body for what is about to come, because when we are in our luteal phase, our period will start soon, right? And that is hard on our bodies, and it's effort, it's labor. And if we are being super stressed in our luteal phase and we are already pushing ourselves, when you are menstruating, it's not going to be easier. It's more like the opposite. So I really try to be very soft and gentle with myself during this phase, to also prepare my body for what is about to come, and just doing meditation and giving myself Reiki, giving myself life force energy in my little cute magic rituals. It just helps me in so many different ways. If you have any other things that you do during this time, I would love to hear about them. So share them in the comments below, and maybe we can create a cute little library of things that we can do and help each other out like this. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope that made you feel less alone and just reminded you that we are all going through these phases, and it is totally normal, and it is not personal failure, but it is just part of the process. It's part of being human. I am sending you much love, and I hope I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.